is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Ruel Abadam. What's up? What is going on? If you are a new listener, welcome. And this isn't a bad place to be if you have nothing better to do. Right? Let me be your socially distanced friend who you can gain access to asynchronously. That's a dumb thing. If you're a return listener, what's up, asynchronous friend? Yeah. It's just another episode of this silly show. Let's start off with what's cooking. Hey guys, I've been thinking about, I had gone, beginning of the year, sort of meat-based, carnivore-ish, that kind of thing, getting gross with organ meats and raw meats, grossing people out. But I enjoy it. I don't enjoy grossing people out. Well, maybe a little bit. I was always that kind of kid. But I was thinking, it sure is tough to try and make, some of these meat dishes that are kind of bizarre types of meats, right, these days, into anything, interesting. Sounds like, what if I had a little cookbook of my own, right? Why not? So, I could do I don't know, what would, it would be a cookbook of, meat recipes. Kind of carnivore, but not like a-hole carnivore. I mean, not like I'm saying to be carnivore you have to eat an a-hole. I'm talking about dogmatic carnivore, where basically, here's meat, right? And no season, nothing. Nothing, and it's just meat. It still has hair on it. Meat. Not like that. I mean, it'd have to be predominantly meat, have to be delicious and simple. Also, it could include organ meats, and it could be simple, and it could be delicious, and if anything, informative as to how you can prepare that cut of meat, how you would see how I choose to enjoy it, and hopefully it'd be a way that you could choose to enjoy it too, because I'm on that journey myself, right? I was doing what the heck was it? Spleen. It was like bison spleen or something, right? It's crazy. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have spleen. I'm just gonna have a bit of it raw. Ooh, that's interesting. Tastes like oysters. Then try and cook a little bit of it. Oh, that's awful. Right? Okay, let's try it again. Let's try to cook a little bit of it with tons of seasoning. It's I just can't, I don't understand spleen. It's funny because I used to not understand liver, but now I can eat liver. Now I just don't understand spleen. So hopefully with a little bit of effort, I can enjoy spleen. I mean, don't get me wrong, I ate most of the spleen over time raw because I didn't want to waste it. And not only that, I still cared about, you know, its nutritional benefits. There's benefits to it, and I'm good with that. Even though I have to like take my time and eat it a little bit at a time, I didn't want to waste it. I didn't want to toss it because that's wasteful, and I didn't want to. I have the nutrients there. Why not just have it? Anyways, if you caught a few episodes back, I talked about the benefits of liver. Liver. Oh, liver, you make my heart sing. No, but so yeah, if gotta find some cool recipes that I could try and make my own, because I'm on that journey. Like I said, I want to know how to enjoy certain things, and I have some ideas, and so then I stick those ideas in the Google machine to see who else has thought of them, and see if how folks prepare certain organ meats are how I envisioned it could be. I mean, really, it's like there's meat and then there's heat. You could choose to hit it with some heat or no heat or a lot of heat. And there's also seasoning. You can choose to no season or a little bit of season or a crap ton of season. So I don't know. You know, and then along the way, you know, just try to fill the cookbook with more helpful tips, like I did with liver on the podcast recently. So yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to know what you think. If that's something that you think I should do, or that you would like to see, or that you would be interested in, you know, the 2 listeners of this podcast, please let me know. Yeah. So I started sort of drafting some ideas. I don't know, what the heck. Only one life to live. You know, might as well. If I'm gonna publish a book, it's going to be why not something about food that really grosses people out? That way it's entertaining for me as the author. It's like, ha ha ha, no one's buying my book, but because it's disgusting, ha ha ha. Joke's on me, even though I feel like it's on you because I'm grossing you out, but really the joke is on me. Yikes. Okay, moving right along. That's the bit on food. How about a little bit of health chat? You know, I'm a new prescription eyeglass wearer. Turns out the glasses that I've held on to and used every now and then for the past few years, as a result of astigmatism, really didn't have much of a prescription on it. It was basically nothing. So a couple months ago, my eyes were feeling a bit tired, and I couldn't sit in the living room sitting on a couch across the coffee table, was the TV. I couldn't get a focus on a TV, you know? That's like, geez, my eyes are tired or something? They haven't adjusted because I've been staring at my phone or a computer for too long, and now I'm just trying to sit down and watch TV. I can't even get focused on it. Horrible. So I'm like, I gotta get my eyes checked. You know, then I would break out the glasses and I would like kind of compare. Put them on. How does my vision look? Take it off. How does my vision appear? Turns out my old glasses, I saw better without it. So it's like, why do I have it? You know, it's supposed to minimize the strain on my eyes when I start the computer, supposedly. So
in 3.6 miles, take exit 33 to merge onto CA92 East towards San Mateo.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you. Don't disclose my location. It's secret. I don't want my fans to find me. I need privacy. So, you know, I set an appointment, you know, to my very exclusive eye doctor who I've never met before at the mall. Just easier that way. And lo and behold, yeah, my eyes are screwed. Like, wow. You know, midlife. And now my eyes are starting to die, kind of go south. Guess I can't complain, you know. I felt I had pretty decent vision, you know, going on, and now I guess I hit that age where it's like, okay, it's time for me to screw with your eyes, Ruel. And yeah, so my understanding is I suck at seeing at a distance, and I do better seeing up close. So whereas my wife is the opposite, and she's yet to get her eyes checked to see if she needs a prescription. So yeah, I used the health savings expense to expense the exam and a good chunk of the actually it was health, was it health? Yeah, it was insurance covered a whole lot, and then whatever came out of my pocket I used the health savings on. So I did spend, you know, a couple $100 or something like that, and I was like, you know, I've made it this far in life. I've not had to spend a whole ton on eyeglasses, prescription eyeglasses, all these decades. So, you know, I'm not gonna complain about spending a couple $100 on some prescription. You know, it took like almost a month to actually get them done for me to pick up. But I like them. But even with that, what I ended up doing was just taking my information from my prescription, from my exam, and thanks to the Ultra Runner podcast who mentioned the website Zini Optical, you know, I took my prescription, loaded it onto that website to basically order me an additional pair of prescription glasses, but sunglasses, so I could drive with my sunglasses at, you know, on a sunny day. You know, and you know, the frames are inexpensive. You do sort of tack on a little bit more cost as you pick your lenses and how you want your lenses to be treated, you know, certain protection and anti-glare or whatever. So all in all, it was like, I don't know, I think it was like under $100 for my second pair of prescription glasses. Now I'm going to go back on and get a second pair of eyeglasses for my daughter. So I contacted her eye doctor and said, can you send me her last prescription from her last exam? So I could take that information and start working on loading those onto the site, and then working with my wife and my daughter to pick an additional a second frame, get her another pair just in case she just messes up her one and only pair. So if anybody out there has put off getting their eyes checked, I'm not the one who's going to tell you get your eyes checked. You'll figure it out. And Zini Optical, they're not an affiliate of any kind, but I do use them. I have used them, and they're worth mentioning, as someone else had mentioned on their podcast, and I was able to benefit from that mention. So, trying to pay it forward. Zini Optical, I think it's Zini Optical. I mean, if you type that in, at least Google will fix it and find you something. So, the family had done a trip to Hawaii during the kids' spring break. And since coming back, proceeded to think about getting the COVID vaccine, both my wife and I. Didn't want to move to get it before the trip, only because, trying to get through the COVID testing for the trip and just dealing with the logistics of travel. The last thing I wanted to think about was the vaccine. It would be something I'd think about upon return from the trip. So the trip had finished. My wife revisited the whole idea of getting vaccinated, and through a medical group she typically goes to, she found and booked an appointment for hers. And through mine, because for some reason we're in different medical groups, then through mine, I booked mine. Hey everybody, welcome. It's me. Just me. I was wondering, as I record through this iPhone, whether or not my navigation would mute itself, or if it would participate in the podcast. And it looks like it muted itself. It's a shame, because I could have used the navigator as Siri as a guest on the show.
Do you need a website? If you're an individual, a consultant, a group, or small business and need a site, or maybe you have an existing site, I can help. How about graphic design? Do you need a design for a t-shirt, logo, product, business cards? Maybe you need help with designing and developing a brand. I'm not an expert, but I do have the tools and the techniques to get the job done. How about a podcast? Yep, like this thing. This thing's a silly little show. Are you looking to set up a podcast of your own? Are you looking to reach an audience? Promote your business via podcast? Well, Abadam Studios. That's right, Abadam Studios. Yeah, so that's Abadam Studios. AbadamStudios.com, AbadamStudios.com. Check it out.
So how's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. And as for me, a lot has happened, and that's just the update. All right, thanks for listening. Yeah, so Last week the kids had spring break, so the family took, let me put it this way. We finally got to take that 2020 trip to Hawaii that we had to reschedule multiple times last year. And we finally, pulled the trigger this past spring break to take advantage of that. And, so, just really a lot went on, and so glad that we went, so I could talk about what that process was like, because it was nerve-wracking, So the trip, this was the first time the family had went on a flight together. This is the first time that the 13 kids got to fly. And with COVID and things, it complicated things even more. Like I mentioned last year, we had to hold off from the initial trip and then push it off a couple more times, and it seemed like it was going to start to cost us additional money every time we did that. Like the last time we had it rescheduled before we actually flew out, we had certain accommodations that we were really happy and excited about, but we had to lose it on account of rescheduling the last time. And initially, with the pandemic, it was like, nope, that's not it. We're just not comfortable doing it.
Hazard ahead in 3.2 miles.
Ooh.
You're still on the fastest route.
You guys heard that? There's a hazard. 3.1 miles, and I am on the fastest route. Thank you, Siri. Thanks for chiming in. Anyways, so it started out as it's a no-brainer. Don't go on the trip. Besides, no one's gonna want to fly, and flying is kind of restricted. Then it kind of eased up a bit, but there were still requirements like, quarantine and such. Let me put it this way. Our trip was planned for like 7 days, and the quarantine was 10 days. So, that's just costly, right? And it's a quarantine that you have to pay for the accommodations. Not to mention, the rescheduling of the departure. A couple of days later to fulfill the quarantine. I don't know how it works. And understanding the whole testing requirements, it just seemed like a lot of stuff. And the pandemic had already complicated things. Life was already complicated because of remote stuff. And not to mention, I had been, kind of out of my mind. This was prior to me quitting alcohol in November. So, I was dealing with my own struggles, trying to take care of family as much as I can. But, this time around, it was like, okay, let's see what the state of Hawaii's travel requirements are. Let's see what the landscape of getting access to testing is like. Let's see how it's all supposed to work out. It did help that I was seeing relatives and close friends making their own, and coworkers making their own trip to any one of the Hawaiian Islands and pulling it off. So, that was sort of like encouraging. It made me feel like there's a way, I just need to look at the details. So, our trip was to Oahu, to Honolulu, and fly out of Oakland. And the airline, which was Southwest, fortunately had information on their website that sort of described the whole requirements that Oahu had, and how the island wanted testing to be conducted, how reporting of results were to be conducted, all of that. So it ended up being the family needed to get testing, and by the time we got it, there was a heck of a lot more locations that were partnering up with the state of Hawaii for the purposes of getting COVID tested prior to traveling to Hawaii. So it was the information was up to date, and it made sense. It just was a matter of execution, and the details were, and it still may be at the time of this recording, is there's a 10-day quarantine when you land on Hawaii, right? I mean, on Oahu. And but the workaround for that is if we can provide results from having been tested for COVID no more than 72 hours prior to departure, right, then we can be exempt from the 10-day quarantine. And the way that worked was I counted 72 hours backwards from when we were scheduled to departure, and then I bumped it, I shortened that window to 70 hours instead, and booked COVID testing for the family. I had to pay $20 per head because that was the fee for the reporting part from the labs to the state of Hawaii or something along those lines. And the COVID testing had to be performed by the facility, the testing facility, versus a home kit, because it would have been supervised testing. And so schedule it for 70 hours, just in case, I don't know, I just made it up in my head that what if the flight was delayed 2 hours, right? I don't want to be caught with there being a delayed departure and therefore making our testing no longer qualified for, acceptance, right? So I just randomly said, 2 hours is typically what's a good buffer. So, made those appointments ahead of time. Might have been a month ahead of time. We made the call to we'll take the trip and we'll leave it as is. And if anybody gets tested positive for COVID, then we'll just move to try and reschedule again and pay whatever fees and with accommodations and things like that. So, we get to our testing appointment, and it wasn't that bad. It was just a bunch of swab into the nose sort of testing, and we got the results back in about a day. And so even before this happens, what the state of Hawaii wanted the traveler, us, to do is register on their Safe Travels website with an account, and it would indicate our personal information plus our travel sort of details, airlines, flight, that type of stuff, duration of travel, where we plan to stay, so that's set up on for each of the travelers, each member of my family. Each adult had to have one. The kids were basically within any one of the adults' profiles. So the kids were all under me, and my wife had a separate account. Now, so that's established. Then fast forward, we get the test, we get the results, everyone's tested negative. And what happens is get a link to see the results, and we could print them out as hard copies and as digital copies. And then we're supposed to upload the test results to the Safe Travels website, which we set up on the Hawaii Safe Travel site. So they have that on record, and they could sort of review it and, indicate that based on the testing and the setup of our accounts, we would qualify as being exempt from the 10-day quarantine. So the way that gets moves forward is, we check in on the day of travel as usual, and the idea is when we land in Hawaii, we're going to stand in line to get our negative test results and a quarantine exemption verified or re-verified right on island. Because if we misstepped in any one of the procedures leading up to getting all that stuff, that would basically flag us for non-exempt, and we would, despite all the work, likely have to do a quarantine. So we did that. Leading up to actually heading to the airport to departure, they were offering the pre-checks actually at our departing home airport. So basically get all of our exemptions verified before we actually land on Hawaii. That way, when we get to Hawaii, we could just be on our way. But that line was a long line, so we figured our main objective is to get to Hawaii. Then we'll handle standing in line for the verification, and that's what we did. It was cool. The flight was I guess from having flown in the past, I get it, but then to be flying with the family and the kids, it was special, right? They each get their seat, and they each have their own bit of luggage and hand carry and backpacks with things that keeps them occupied and comfortable. So it was cool. They all enjoyed the takeoff, and they enjoyed the wobbly landing. No one was freaking out. It was cool. So that was that. And on the way back, we didn't need to be rechecked. It's sort of like, leaving the mainland U.S. to go to Hawaii. Hawaii is like this hub from all over the Pacific. They need to safeguard the islands from every direction, even if it's coming from the mainland U.S. So, makes sense. But coming from a Hawaiian island to the U.S., I guess perhaps our safe travel results only mattered on going to Hawaii, and the mainland really doesn't care. The U.S. mainland's like, yeah, come on, you come from Hawaii, you're one of us. Yeah, well, I don't need to check. I don't need to check if you're COVID or not. Just come, welcome. So yeah, the flight back seemed faster, and on the flight back, it was tricky because as a family, we tried to take advantage of paying a little bit extra to get early bird check-in. That affords us to sort of board the plane a little bit earlier than most of the passengers, but not earlier than like the elite sort of group and active military and families with kids under 6. Right? So we're like, yeah, that's where we're at. It was helpful. It was sort of a little bit extra that we were happy to spend, just to ensure that everyone sat close to each other, because when we sat in our seats and the later passengers boarded, we could see where, families or companies were actually split up because, there weren't seats close to each other. So didn't want to do that, and each flight was about 5.5 hours. So, want to be able to at least be with familiar faces throughout the duration of the flight. So that was that. We tried, days prior to leaving Hawaii, we called the airline because we were having a heck of a time trying to actually pay for those early bird check-ins online. So we wanted to help with, customer service to do that. And something was up because I had been put on hold for a long time while they looked into it. And so our original flight back was, leave Hawaii sometime in the mid-morning and land in Oakland close to midnight, right? And it wasn't ideal as far as the close to midnight time. Plus, on top of that, there was a flight transfer. The flight would go from Oahu to, I want to say, Kauai or Maui, and then from there we stay there for a couple of hours and then hop on a different plane, then get to Oakland. So, there's a longer travel duration, and we were getting home late. So when customer service finally got back, they basically said, you know what, why don't we put you on a different flight that does not have a transfer and a layover, a couple hour layover on another island, and we'll be able to get you back to Oakland like 2 hours earlier, which was more appealing than midnight. 10 o'clock is better. You save 2 hours. I'm like, sounds good, let's do it. And then got the early bird check-ins, and it turns out we were like almost last to actually purchasing those early bird check-ins. But we got it through, and we were good. We had a rent-a-car that we were able to hold on to, despite the change. So this is what happens when we get to when we do head out. We're hanging out at our gate so that we could, get ready to board and all that stuff. And we're hearing my wife's heard conversations with other travelers. It turns out our original flight back, which would have, gave us a 2 hour layover at a different island and a flight transfer, that had gotten canceled. And the passengers of that flight were put on a different flight that landed in Sacramento. And it's like, what? So, had we had not called to try and get that early bird check-in, we would be on a flight that would have taken us to Sacramento, and Sacramento is way farther than Oakland is. Oakland is our local airport. Sacramento is not. And, to land in Sacramento, 10 o'clock, close to midnight, a family for 5, what the heck would we do? That's a heck of an Uber drive, right? Yeah. So, we were fortunate to be given the option. And I guess at the time when we called, they weren't sure what was going to happen. The guy didn't say, if you don't change, you're going to end up in Sacramento. So yes. Oh, and the cool thing is when we left the hotel, or actually we stayed at it was essentially a hotel, but it was pitched as a condo or condo, a 12th floor condo. Anyways, we left the accommodations. We checked out, whatever. Then we hopped on a rental car with all our luggage, and we got to the rental car return. You know, by that time, it started raining, you know, and I'm familiar with the rain, the way it rains in Hawaii, because it's the same way it rains on Guam. But it was nice that throughout our stay, we didn't get, you know, the torrential downpour. As a matter of fact, our friends had said that when we arrived, the weather got better. So in a way, it was like it cleared up for us. You know, it just sounds cool to say it that way. But then now here we were returning our rental car and with the plan to get a shuttle ride to the airport, and it was already pouring. So we hit the car return, which was under some cover. We got out of the vehicle and it's dripping, pouring. We get all of our baggage out. We hand the vehicle over, and we make our way to the spot in front of the rental car building to where the airport shuttle does its thing for travelers. And what happens is we're waiting. Everything's cool, and we see the big old shuttle come by. You know, as the shuttle comes by, it offloads travelers that had just arrived so they can get their rental cars. And there we are standing, and other departing travelers are sitting around as well, like we are, and we're kind of anxious to get on that shuttle, you know, get our spot, get all our baggage, you know, loaded. And then then what happens is a smaller shuttle, which it was ahead of, somehow parked ahead of time, backed up and situated itself in front of this other shuttle, the bigger shuttle that had offloaded travelers. So the smaller shuttle, he sort of blocks the big shuttle. The driver comes out, and then he says, "I'll take you guys," right? Referring to my family, 5 of us. So I'm like, cool. So he helps us load our luggage. We get on the shuttle, you know, and then he shuts the door, and then he heads to the airport. And I'm like, whoa, we got a private shuttle. What the heck, right? And you know, I think what that ended up being like was, I think he needed to go to the airport anyway, and he might as well help with some of the load. But there was definitely more capacity in that smaller shuttle to take more folks, but he just took us. And in a weird way, I felt like, I wonder if he think we're locals, right? And it's maybe there's this unknown to us, but maybe it's sort of the way they operate is, you know, the locals there would just be treated like local. I mean, differently, you know, than tourists. I mean, I get that to a degree because the same thing happens on Guam. So yeah, it was nice. It was a nice thing, you know. Yeah, everyone else, they didn't look like they were locals. We were the only family that looked like locals waiting for a shuttle. So yeah, profiling. Thanks, Alamo. Hawaii? You guys are the best. Yeah, it was a fun trip, and I just spent almost 25 minutes talking about that trip. So, if you are a return listener, thanks for sticking around. You know how I roll. If you are a new listener, I hope you got something out of that. If you haven't clicked off yet, yeah, I was just kind of excited to kind of describe all of that. And you know, there's a lot more stuff that went on, and I'm not going to talk about it now, but all I can say is that I got sunburned major. And I'm just now kind of showing my shoulders are peeling. And yeah, it's awesome. You know, it's awesome. So I guess I'm trying to make the best of it, despite how this podcast episode has sort of kicked off. But you know, let's do the what's cooking piece. You know, being away on vacation, I really took advantage of the fact that we were there and did not do a really restrictive way. You know, I didn't really restrict myself. I allowed myself to enjoy, you know, stuff, but that didn't mean I went out and like, I want to go grab a bunch of cookies and cakes, and I'm going to get a milkshake, and I'm going to down a bunch of sodas and chips and whatever. It was more like, so let's say we're hanging out, enjoying the water, maybe the lagoon over at the Hilton or the beach, you know, and it was like, let's go find some place to grub, you know. Because we're in Hawaii, I'm going to go for some sort of island barbecue plate, right? Which typically means a protein or 2 or 3, you know, a side of steamed white rice, you know, and maybe a mac salad. That's typical, you know, plate, you know, and I wouldn't hesitate. I was like, I want to enjoy this because once I get back from vacation, you know, I'm not going to be rolling this way. You know, the rice I'm okay with. It was like the mac salad. I don't really care for mac salad, but it's like, if you're going to have mac salad, and some of you are thinking, what the heck is mac salad? Well, mac salad is basically macaroni salad, and the Hawaiian barbecue plates would have mac salad, and they're made a certain way. I don't have a recipe for it, but I was like, you know, when I go to the local Hawaiian barbecues here in Northern California, you know, I don't care for their mac salad. But simply with the fact that I was in Hawaii, I'm like, I'm gonna eat their mac salad. You know, if you know, or if we bought spam musubi, like, you know, what better place to eat spam musubi than in Hawaii on a beach, right? I'm not going to think like, oh my God, you know, I'm going to be eating a processed slab of meat, and that's just way too many carbs coming out of that brick of steamed white rice. Yeah, wasn't going to worry about it. Yeah, we did have, the place that we stayed at did have a kitchen, so we did the typical, you know, hit the grocery store. We did find a Safeway grocery store in the area. There were 2, but we went to one of 2 and picked up stuff, you know, eggs and bacon and you know, some fish. What else did we get? A thing of butter. You know, some other stuff. Yeah, it was so, you know, so practically every morning I was making bacon and eggs. Good stuff. You know, and you know, the place didn't have like the best of cookware. The one pan that they had was a small pan, and it was warped, and it had shredded bits of non-stick surface on it. And I was thinking, what? This needs to be tossed. What the heck is this? So I ended up basically, you know, cooking up bacon and eggs on a large stainless steel pot. Right? It's kind of hard getting under you know, a fried egg and stuff with a spatula on a large. Yeah, funny. You know, and as usual, you know, I'll I'll cook the bacon and I'll save and I'll accumulate all of the bacon fat for when I need to actually like grease up a pan to fry like an egg or something, right? Or some ground. Oh, I did some steak. Did some ground beef. So nothing unusual. I didn't get any organ meats while I was there. Oh well. Let's see. Yeah, so getting, I was still healing from. I'm still healing from that rash, right? The keto rash. It's mostly gone from my back. It had spots of it had worked its way on each of my sides, right by my lats. So it basically is like traversing my body, my torso, from the mid back on out, right, left and right, and around under my lats to over my ribs. And it looks like on the left side, it just kindly said, you know what, I give up. I'm done being on this dumb body of Ruel's. Let's see, I need to correct myself here. Yeah, anyways, I missed my turn because I'm distracted thinking about my body. So what happened was, I still have a patch of it on my right side, right? My right side, and man, it's just about still in front of my ribs, just almost under, not quite under my right pec. So, I'm not concerned. I'm not too concerned. But, so, me eating in a way that doesn't put me back into ketosis, I'm okay with, right? My goal was eat in a way that in a way where I don't fall into ketosis, so that, the rash could calm down and I could heal, and then try to get back into things. So what's happened is I'm kind of doing that, but I'm sort of sunburned all over, like my arms, my legs, shoulders, my back. It's my torso. It's just kind of a mess. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was dealing with a bit of eczema too on the back of my hands before we left, which I was clearing up with the help of some prescription grade, whatever you call it, corticosteroid or something, Oh man. So I did get a lot of sun color. I mean, I'm not the color of sun, but I did get dark. I'm like multitude different shades of dark, like still rocking my own brand of Farmer Tan. If anybody wants to buy it, I sell it on Amazon. Like most of my arms is like pretty destroyed, dry, and sunburned, and then it gets lighter around like the short sleeve section, towards my shoulders, the upper part of my bicep, tricep, and the top of my shoulders are just peeling, and all the bits that were just covered in like swim trunks and stuff, those parts are still pretty light. As light as I can possibly be. Yeah, good times. Man, if I were to do it again, I just would be smarter about how I was out in the sun. I just was really enjoying the moment. the moments. So on the way back, on the way, actually heading out, knowing that we would be traveling, we would be heading out practically right through lunch, and then even with the time change, we would be, the kids would kind of, we would still be traveling around a dinner time. And the airlines doesn't give meals, they give a variety pack of snacks, so it's a bunch of garbage. It's horrible. It's just horrible. I mean, the moment I think I wanted to have anything from that snack variety, I was like, all I had to do was turn the back of the package. It has a collection of ingredients lists for each item in the variety pack, and the ingredients lists for each of the items are just massive ingredient list with a bunch of stuff that, for something that's supposed to seem simple, sure has a complicated content. So I was like, I'm not gonna eat it, just forget that. So anyways, prior to leaving, I made my own brand of spam musubi, which you can get on Amazon.com. Just kidding. And it isn't a highly seasoned take on spam musubi, but it's something that the kids are familiar with. Very basic. The slice of spam, the brick of rice. The spam was, lightly marinated in a soy sauce. Very light. It's like a sneeze of it. And then there wasn't even any sort of seasoning or furikake. No, I didn't say bukkake. I said furikake. It's a type of seasoning which contains sesame seeds and bits of seaweed wrap. Anyways. Isn't that bukkake? So yeah, and then the nori wrapper, seaweed wrapper. So I made like 8 or 10 of those, and I wrapped them in a plastic wrap, and then put them in a plastic airtight container, and put that in my backpack, hand carry. So, the idea was we'd still try to find lunch somewhere prior to actually getting to the airport. And we did. I forgot how we did it. I don't know if it was we got takeout or if we just ate good at home. Then finally got to the airport, and if anybody were to feel hungry, something a bit more substantial than those junky, crappy variety snack things that they give, or if it was closer to dinner time and they needed something, then it would just be a matter of like, here you go, grab a spam musubi, and those came in super handy. They basically did the job, and on the return, I did the same. I didn't make as much, but I did the same, just in case, because it's nothing worse than having kids sort of starving in an airplane, and they start to get annoying, and then the adults get annoyed, and then the adults start to act in a way that start to annoy each other, and the next thing everybody's annoyed, and then the plane crashes. It's not funny. Yeah. Coming back though, it's like, okay, back to normal. This past week, I've been taking my organ meat supplements and things, and I've been also eating organ meats, mainly liver. Yeah. making my rabasashi. I had it last night with sashimi, yellowfin tuna. Had it twice so far this week. And yeah, feeling good about it. Feeling good about, getting back those nutrients from organ meats. But it's like my usual mode is I'm like, my usual mode is like, as if I was fasting, right? I mean, not like intentionally, like I'm going to do an 18-hour fast, a 24-hour fast. It's my kind of fasting, which is basically, I'm cool if I don't have breakfast. I'm cool if I don't have lunch, right? So I have to force myself I have to remind myself, like, don't skip, just get something. Even if it's, a sip of bone broth with, some organ meat supplements. You guys, like, if anybody's wondering what kind of organ meat supplements I have a jar of Heart and Soil's. They have one of their latest products is a like hair, skin, and nails. I think that's what it is, and it has bone, it has cartilage, it has liver and heart, I think, something like that. So I do that, and anyways, yeah, I'm like, just have something for breakfast. Even if it's a bit of egg and bacon that had gone uneaten from somebody else, like my wife or the kids. Have that. Have the broth, have the little bits of egg or bacon, and wash down the supplements with some bone broth. And at lunchtime, I just do lunch to take a break, because I'm still working remote, and if I don't do something, I will likely just be stuck to that dang computer, and it's not good. Need to kind of force to take a break. So have a meal, right? So some days I have this really good beef sausage. I'll just heat that up. I'll heat one of them up on a cast iron pan and throw an egg or two to get fried as well, and I'll have those things as a lunch. And because I want to balance out as much as possible my macros, I'm not, and I don't want to get into ketosis. I'm throwing some white steamed rice into the mix, right? Oh God, did I ever talk about? I haven't talked about it, have I? The raw unfiltered honey that I've also been using as a form of therapeutic carbs. The rice and the honey, those things. Oh, I did cut nuts and dairy, so that made it tough, where I was doing like heavy cream and frozen berries and nut butters, right, in the evenings as a sort of my treat. Now it's like, I had to sort of switch the heavy cream and use coconut milk or coconut cream. And to me, folks, I don't count coconut as a nut. Not like the other nuts. But, excuse me. But then when we got to Hawaii, I just didn't do any of those sort of frozen berry treats. So I didn't miss not having that creamy sort of dessert, I guess. So I had gone like, I want to say a month without dairy and nuts. And then when I went on the trip, I didn't like go out of my way to have nuts and dairy, but I did have some, I know. Yeah. What did I have? I didn't have nuts. Like, I didn't go out and have, like, macadamias or nothing. But I did have, I did have some cheese somewhere. I think. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking. I think so. Oh, God, I can't exactly remember, but I know that I had some cheese somewhere. Oh, yeah. Round Table at the Hilton next to where we stayed. There was a Round Table pizza. One of my kids wanted a pizza, and I wasn't sure what I was gonna grab on, so I was like, shoot, I'm gonna go get me one pizza too. And sadly, the Round Table there, their menu wasn't as vast as the Round Table's menu website, or at least the Round Table's here in California. I only go to like once in a blue moon for my kids. So I am somewhat familiar with their menu. So when I go over to the one in Hawaii, I'm like, okay, can I get this fancy meaty one? I forget what it was called, like Wabo Wonko, I don't know. And like, oh, and is there any way I can get that like on maybe a cauliflower crust or something? And they're like, oh, we don't have any of the gluten-free crust, and oh, we don't have that Wabo blah 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 blah. Are you looking at the website? Because we don't have all the pizzas that are on the website. So I'm like, okay, so basically you guys are more of the traditional Round Table, not like all the fancy other ones. So I got it, no problem. What in the world? Yeah. So then I'm back and still making an effort to not have any nuts. I am allowing here and there, not regularly, some heavy cream in my coffee. So it's kind of interesting that I am mostly dairy-free, which is cool. Because for a long time, I didn't think I could last without having heavy cream in my coffee. And the reason why I cut out the nuts and dairy is, guesses? Yeah, that's why. Erectile dysfunction. No. It's as I was flaring up with like this eczema and the keto rash and things, I was just thinking, you know what? If there is any like subtle level of inflammation that I'm getting from nuts and dairy, and I do kind of go overboard with dairy and nuts, I have. It's that addictive personality, I guess. I'm not drinking alcohol, but I'm sure digging all this dairy and all these nuts. If any chance the nuts and dairy are causing me any problems, I need to tone down as much of this inflammation that I have, because I do get flare-ups with the rashes and things. I hate them, and so I'm thinking, make an effort. I'll just do some of these eliminations that are typical to autoimmune sort of things or allergies, dairy being a big one and nuts being a big one, just to see if it would help. So yeah, I thought, like, maybe I'll just reintroduce it, but maybe I won't. It'd have to be like, if the dairy is like on something really, really special that, I really want to try that something special, because it's like I'm rarely ever going to have that chance to have that thing, and it happens to have dairy, I'll have a little bit of it. Same with nuts. Like, maybe I'm doing a long trail run and I need to have some calories on board, and rather than doing like the goos and the chomps and things, if my choices are, nut butters mixed with coconut oil and let's see, maybe some almonds, I'd rather do that. Those things. I'll bring back the nuts there and the dairy, or the nuts rather. There's no dairy there. Yeah, you know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about. Speaking of running, prior to leaving to Hawaii, I injured my back. I hurt it twice. Hurt it once, I think I just caused too much trauma on my back. I had done some jump rope, and then I did some strenuous lifting at some point, and then I was like, oh, okay, back spasm, then followed by the back is really sore. Gave it a break a few days, and by that time, not keeping my back in mind, I strained it again, doing some heavy lifting, primarily trying to piggyback 2 of my kids on my, So there's an accumulation of strain and improper posture. Then it re-injured itself while I was bending over, loading the dishwasher. It just spasmed, and my knee slightly buckled, and I went, whoops! My wife's like, what? I'm like, my back. And both of us thought the same thing, like, if your back is screwed, how in the heck are we going to lug luggage and travel with the kids? I'm like, I'm aware. I'm going to have to be extra cautious the several days leading up to it. So there were, most of the time I was wearing a back brace, like a weightlifting belt, just to remind myself that I need to be mindful. I mean, it really, I don't think it really does anything except dig into my ribs. But it does remind me, okay, it's kind of like tying a knot on your finger. Just a reminder. You wrap a belt around your waist, weightlifting belt. Then so I brought that. I flew with that on, and I kept one of my trekking poles folded up and in my backpack hand carry, in case I did tweak my back and I needed some sort of support, like a cane. I had that. Never needed it. It's funny how when I went on the trip, my back no longer was an issue. And so now it's an issue. No, it's not an issue. I'm back, and it's a little tender, and it's a little tender, but I don't know. It might be other stuff that's sort of exacerbating it again. Gonna have to move to Hawaii. Oh gee, look what time it is. Anyways, on the running side, I hurt my back prior to the trip, so there was no way I was going to re-injure my back, so I wasn't thinking about running. I did some light, short spurts of running when I was on vacation, because I wanted to buy something at the store and get it to the family quickly, or lunch, or a snack. Run to the hotel because we forgot something, and then rush right back to where the family's at. That kind of stuff. And it felt good to be on my feet. It felt really good. And it's like I haven't really been doing any sort of good amount of running since January. I did some in February, but really not a whole lot since then. Recently, one of my running friends pinged me and another running friend, like, about doing a 50-mile event in May. It's the AR50, the American River 50, because I guess when he pinged us, the registration had opened up. And I'm like, oh God, really? Like after the first week of May, it's like, I'm gonna be busy, and I haven't been running, but it got me thinking about running. And it's like, man, I sure miss running. I haven't been running. Oh my God, been too busy not running and doing other things. So, I didn't want to be one of those guys that said maybe. I just said likely not gonna be busy. But I do appreciate where his head is at, because now I'm thinking, like, what can I do? What can I do? When can I do it? Should be good. I'm part of this runners Slack channel for work. Actually, I kind of hijacked it because it had, years ago, it was established and then it died. It had like 4 people in it, then it died. Those people left, and I remained. And I just hijacked it. I'm like, I want to revitalize this Slack channel, and got new people on who are runners, and get to share and be a little group of runners within the company. It's kind of cool. More recently, a coworker, she's talked about how her significant other keeps signing her up for half marathons. She's gonna be doing like a half marathon every month or every other month or something. Some sort of, what do you call it? What do you call those things? Where you just do like, you kind of streak in a way? Yeah. That's cool. I'm getting tired. I was up really late. Really, really late. Did some really late work. Came at the last moment. I was asked to well, long story short, after, time with the family in the evening, I just switched gears to work at night, and I ended up hitting the sack at 5 in the morning, only to get up at 7:20. So I got a couple hours or so of rest. It was rough. I mean, I don't mind sort of the feeling worn out part, and kind of enduring it and kind of plugging through it, because it's kind of like a long run, right? Like, I'm 10 hours into my run. Smile, you'll feel better. It's just, if my eyes were shut, had been shut enough, but I was super exhausted because I do need to sleep. My concern is, like, if my eyes aren't ready to actually take on the day, and I'm forcing them open to do, so that I can function, my concern is, would I trigger a migraine one way or another? And, dealing with a migraine, I'd rather deal with feeling just underslept, tired, than dealing with a migraine and being underslept and tired. Although the good side of that would mean I would force myself to sleep, so I would, in a way, catch up on that sleep. Because sleeping would be my way of coping with the migraine. Okay. That's running. So, hopefully I can figure something out. Hopefully I can feel awesome and be out there again. Hopefully all the skin stuff clears up. Hopefully. Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. That's all I got. I appreciate it. If you stuck around the podcast throughout all of that, you're awesome. Thank you. Catch you on the next one. Remember, folks, hug your friends, hug your family, eat something delicious, and go run something. Bye. Yeah, I was me and another vehicle, if you heard that honk, me and another vehicle were converging because his lane was merging onto mine, and yeah, person couldn't deal with it. Couldn't deal with it. The world revolves around that person. Then I got a call. It was work. They need me. They need me. I said, you got it. Whatever you need, I got it. Don't you worry. Just on my way back, I'm picking up a package that we've been waiting for quite a while. And as soon as I get back, I'm on it. We're good. Oh my Lord. What in the world, folks? Woo! Every now and then, you have a good trip, a good vacation, and your mind sort of drifts off, and you think about little pockets or moments in time during the trip. You sort of replay those things in your head, and then you sort of like you're watching on-demand TV. You can pause it and rewind it and forward it, but you have the ability to sort of let's go change the scenario a bit and see how that goes. You're sort of a director. You're in charge. I am tired. Tired. I'm still on this app called something along the lines I am sober. And I thought it was just a neat way to sort of count down how long I've been sober, and it does that. And then I threw in other things like, what are the other things do I want to be sober from? I put I created a custom one called Nuts and Dairy, so I can sort of track how nut and dairy free I become. But burp, kind of let that go just a little bit here and there during vacation. Now back on track. Was listening to a Vinny episode on the Fitness Confidential podcast. He was talking about whether or not he would consider heavy cream as dairy, and he's kind of like, it kind of isn't, he said, because it's mostly a fat. So I don't know. That thing in me is sort of like black and white about, if I want to cut dairy, I want to cut even the cream. Bleh, 100%. But then I've kind of fallen into that, like, depends on how I feel. Generally, no heavy cream, but if I feel like I might need it just because, I don't know, I need it, I might put a splash. Nowhere like I used to. Yeah. Oh my God. I had a long night, and now I'm really paying the price. That's okay. It's probably going to be another long night. Not as long as last night. actually driving. Who would have thunk that I'd be driving? Just if I had done this like an hour later, I'd be in crazy traffic. Don't like that. Anyways, did I mention that? I don't think I really finished covering it, but yeah, I got my my first COVID vaccine shot. I want to say 2 days ago. Yeah, I was kind of impressed at how they conducted it. My wife's going to go to a different location, so it'd be interesting to see how they conduct theirs. Yeah, it's sort of like make an appointment, and if I read things right, well, the way I read the information online when I scheduled was that I technically fall under healthcare worker because the company I work for is a healthcare provider. So they know, and the information I read sort of broke it down like if you are in like IT and you support the healthcare provider's ability to provide the healthcare, then whether it's the network or computers or software, all of that stuff, you're a healthcare worker. So it's like, oh, look at me, I'm a healthcare worker. So when I was prompted to choose or to indicate whether or not I was a healthcare worker, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm a healthcare worker. And they indicated, be prepared to present, like a pay stub that indicates you are employed at that particular place that is a healthcare service provider. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. But they did none of that. I made my appointment, I got there, I confirmed that I am who I am and I have the appointment, and drove up. They had lines of cars, and they had separate lines for cars, and they just were totally in an orderly fashion, nicely done. It was conducted at the nearby fairgrounds, county fairgrounds, where it's nice and open. Yeah, but man, I mean, that doesn't sound like it was, but I could function just fine. But that injection point on my shoulder, yeah, it's tender. Tender is the night. I'm pushing it right now and it seems fine, but there's certain times of the day it's like, or I'll get up in the middle of the night having like, without realizing, rolling over that shoulder and just sort of sleeping on it. Then I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, why does my arm hurt? Oh, I was injected. What'd you get? I got the Moderna. And it's funny, I was like, first I was like, I don't want to get Pfizer or Moderna or whatever. I'll get the other one. Maybe I'll get the Johnson & Johnson. Then it became like, I really don't care anymore. I really don't care. Can I just get the vaccine and just kind of move on with the rest of my life? And then like the day I had my appointment is when I guess the news broke about, kind of a halt on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. I'm like, oh no. Well, I hope the vaccine not only gets COVID away, it does other miraculous things like cures cancer. How great would that be? It would, the vaccine would somehow reduce emissions into the environment. Yeah. It would, lower the cost of my auto insurance bill. Yeah. That would be great. It would allow me to improve my vision, regain my youthful vision, so I could see colorblind better. So silly. Yeah, I was reading a little bit on like aging and vision, and sad. You lose a percentage of your peripheral vision the older you get. And it's not like the main way I see things. And besides, these prescription glasses I got, they're those progressive lenses. I mean, they kind of it kind of encourages not having great peripheral vision anyways. Right? For anybody who knows, the progressives type lenses are like 3 zones, and they sort of blend into each other, unlike the bifocals where you have this rough line that right below at the bottom portion of the lens that's used for when you read, like the newspaper, back when, you know, newspapers were the in thing. So now it's kind of like you have a similar visibility, but without that abrupt line. You know, it looks like they carved out a chunkier lens, and so you can, I don't know. So the progressives, it's if you envision sort of some hourglass-shaped area on the lens, the lower portion actually gives you that reading distance visibility. So you just kind of have to like tilt your head slightly down and look down, and you look at that bottom portion of the progressive lens, and it lets you read. Then sort of like midway, it's kind of like a computer screen sort of distance reading. And then I guess most of it, sort of the top half of the lens, is sort of your distance visibility. So, and you know, you can't see it, like others can't see that. But I could, like, if I chose to view something at a distance using the bottom portion of my lens, you know, it's going to be blurry because it's meant for stuff for reading distance. And if I tried to look at something close, you know, you get the picture. So interesting. I was like, you asked what would I like when I was trying to get my lenses. Would you like bifocals or progressives? I'm like, what the heck are progressives? And then I'm like, oh, sounds like the wave of the future. It's like, I might as well get them because for decades I've gone without glasses, and that I am definitely not gonna get what my grandparents used to wear. I'm progressive, getting progressives. My voice is sore, and I don't think it has anything to do with the vaccine. I'm pretty sure it had to do with me. I kind of have this thing where in the morning, for some reason, if I wake up in the morning, let me put it this way. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning and somehow I have a song in my head. I don't know if it, you know, how that, it was already in me, I guess. Not like I have a song that I want to write. It's like a song that you play on the radio or you stream. It's like, you know, songs you've heard before. So I'll wake up and then I'll do my morning routine, and for some reason I have a song in my head, and so I sort of entertain that by opening up my Amazon Music app. We've got a not the best level of membership on it, but I have a level of membership where I could listen to stuff free. And so what happens is there I am in the kitchen, maybe making coffee. I have a song in my head from waking up somehow. I don't remember why or how, but then I just turn on my app. I'm like, then I guess I gotta listen to that song. Open up the app, find a song and play it, and then just let it play, because it was already playing in my head. I might as well just let the actual song play and allow me to use the rest of my head to focus on making coffee. Did that ever happen to you? I think this morning it was a song that I cared to not listen to, but it was somehow stuck in my head. I can't remember what it was. Oh no, I know what it was. I had to go somewhere in the morning, packaging store or something, or Staples or something, and then I had a song in my head, and I was like, okay, what's the name of that song, right? And I had to like try and from memory get some of the lyrics out. So then I would take that fragment of the lyrics and put them into a Google search, right? And by the time I get that inputted into the search field, my mind is still continuing the song, and it remembers the chorus, which includes the name of the song. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know the name of the song. Boys Don't Cry by The Cure. So I search it up on Amazon Music, and then I play it, right? And I'm like, stuff I used to listen to in high school, and it's like, yeah, I remember this song. And then I just start singing along really loud and strong. You know, I have no business trying to sing, not to mention sing loud and strong. And now I'm paying the price. My voice is kind of shot. You know, and then the song ended, and then another song, another Cure song came on, and I was like, yeah, I remember that song. Got halfway through it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done with that. But that wasn't it. Then it was a Cranberries song. They had that zombie song, and I was like, okay, put it on show me the lyrics sort of mode, so I could attempt to sing along with it, and then it's like I just trashed my throat really bad. Then I forgot about it, and here I am now, like, why is my throat kind of off? Must be that vaccine kind of working through its magic. Trying to reduce my auto insurance and improve my credit score. Thanks, vaccine. Anyhow. Did I mention I picked up this wonderful piece of workout equipment? And it's one of those hanging pull-up bars. And it motivates me to do some upper body strength work, which never really was cared for. You know, when all I did was run a lot, not a lot, just enough. And then you know, I picked it up after I had to take a break from the January running and the damage that the stress that I was putting myself through, not because of the running, but I'm sure some of the running added to what was already happening with me. And it was a level of stress going through my body as the way I envision it, as a result of, you know, trying to just get healthier, and also, you know, just changing my diet. It's like, a lot of change happening at once, you know, stressing me out. You know, this is my body talking. Ruel, you know, all those months of boozing last year, I'm kind of tired. You know, and thankfully you've quit the alcohol, and now I could just try to get better. you know, how do you heal from the inside? Thanks. And then Ruel's like, you know, while I'm at it, I might as well, you know, go NSNG and go kind of carnivore, you know, which, you know, body's like, okay, here I am, Ruel. I'm trying to recover from any level of damage that I have from you enjoying too much alcohol last year. You know, and here I am. Now I'm in ketosis. And, okay. Hopefully what's going on with that will help speed up the healing from all of the damage from drinking. Okay, so be it. Let's rock and roll. Then January rolls around. I'm like, crap, I have to run like 12, 13 miles a day. You know, the body's like, dude, you know, you missed like the first few days of January. There's no way, you know, because we're nowhere from being a talented runner. So there's no way in hell that we're going to be able to make up that mileage, right? That's missed on those days. Not to mention, you can't do back-to-back days, right? We're just doing like maybe 3, maybe 4 back-to-back days at the best, and then it's just kind of like it's broken up. I run here, a couple of back-to-backs here, a couple of 3-to-3s, and you know. But when they are back-to-back and whatever, it's like, okay, dude, I'm trying to heal. Put me on ketosis. Really, like strict 0 carb because you're just going on meat and organs, and you're having me run like a shit ton. I'm done, dude. As the body's like, I'm done. You're done, dude. Dude, you're done. So it's like, I don't know what to tell you. All I can do is just break out in a rash. And then I'm like, wow. You know, 2-3 months into it, I'm like, this rash hasn't gone away, body. What are you trying to tell me? Okay, take a break. Be easy. Try to heal up somehow. Get your rest. Don't go crazy. But, you know, so I was like, okay, maybe I'm just kind of like, I'll do some body weight exercises using this little inexpensive piece of exercise equipment. And besides, you know, when I do decide to have those therapeutic carbs, I could always turn to strength training to help utilize, benefit from some of that. So, yeah, there you go. Good times. Well, it's a short one, guys. I appreciate the time. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Be good. Hug your friends. Hug your family. Eat something delicious and go run something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.